The concern I have with what's happening in US circles is there's this idea floating around that maybe attacks work, right? As if, and this shows how short his memory is of certain US policymakers, that type of kinetic response to problems is the way to both weaken Iran, weaken Muqtada, and kind of get your way. And let's have another mission accomplished statement in a few years. What I would just kind of push back on is trying to understand not just that immediate short-term effects of kinetic action and of military intervention, but the longer-term effects. And I would say that Iran was much weaker even before Qasem Soleimani was targeted. And just simply saying that military attacks are working, I think, is very short-sighted. So I would push back on American policymakers who think that they could just keep bombing Iraq over and over again and somehow get their way. I think history tells us a different story. Where I think America should focus on is trying to understand that the post-2003 Iraqi state has not been accountable, and the institutions have been weakened, because rather than trying to develop those institutions, the state, everyone plays with certain actors. So the US, for example, they have certain friends, some families, some individuals, and they'll just keep funding them and keep sort of dealing with them. That's not how you rebuild states. So what I would push on in terms of the international policymakers is really, let's have a conversation about what are the shortcomings of the Iraqi state and how do you rebuild those institutions in a more accountable way, but not to directly intervene either militarily or politically by playing sort of good sort of with your friends and going against your enemies, because oftentimes, as just the case study of the Sadrists has shown, sometimes your friends and enemies are difficult to kind of tell apart when you're talking in the context of Iraq.